So are you ready for our guest of honor? There are not enough things that I can say about this young woman. She is a visionary poet, a force in Hampton Roads community as far as artists go. Just a moving and powerful, impactful artist. And we are going to sit down with her and pick her brain for as long as possible. When I'm done with my questions, you guys get to take over and we'll do a Q&A, and then we'll have a performance for her. Is everybody ready for that? Let's hear it for Taz Weysweete.
Wolfpack, baby.
This is fine.
No, that doesn't feel right.
Right.
Good. 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 You got enough time?
All right. So when Taz and I were discussing how we wanted to do this, we both decided right out of the gate that we would be remarkably nervous. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
So, we were both very much inspired by Inside the Actors Studio. Hands if you're familiar with Inside the Actors Studio? Okay, wonderful. All right, so
Good job.
if you start feeling throughout the evening like, man, this feels like an episode of Inside the Actors Studio, that's exactly what it's happening. So, we are here sitting with Taz, who is releasing her book, Cocoa Blues, tonight. So let's start with some very, very basic questions. So, where are you from and when were you born?
I'm from Manhattan, New York. I'm from Manhattan, New York. I was born December 21st, 1982, Harlem.
When did you move to Virginia?
When I was 7.
And who were your parents?
My mom was Diane and dad was Keith.
And what type of child were you?
Trouble.
I was a quiet child. I was slick. I was sneaky.
Did you read a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
I read a lot, and before I could read, I used to pretend that I was reading and tell the story about what I thought that I was reading.
That's crazy.
Did your move to Virginia impact your writing at all?
As I'm older now.
As you're older now?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first started writing?
Probably like 13.
13? Do you remember what your first poem was about?
Yeah, I wrote a I was like it was to be or not to be poem. I was like it was something. It was something. It sounded like a kid version of Move Something. You know what I mean? A kid,
You remember any of it?
I said something about Calvin Klein. I had a hot Calvin Klein line in it.
Oh yeah. All right. So what non-literary arts are you inspired by, like painting or music wise?
I mean, I like photography the most. You know what I'm saying? I like when people catch still life. You know what I'm saying? Even in my writing is, you know, I watch something or it's a lot of, I do write a lot of observation. You know what I'm saying? And then something could just bubble up and then I write it. So it's the same like when I'm looking at a picture, you know what I'm saying? When I'm looking at water. You know?
How much of your work would you say is inspired by things you witness versus how much is inspired by things you experience?
That's a real half and half. That's a real half and half. I write what I see and what I do equally. You know what I mean?
I'm new at this, guys. Snap for me too. So, do you read a lot? I'm sure you do. They say, who was it that told me that a writer who doesn't read?
What they say? Because I don't read.
You don't read? Really? The way you write, I would have guessed
A
you
lot
read.
of people, I think a lot of the
I
better
don't read as much
writers
as you might
don't
think I
read.
would.
Who do you read? What are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading Woman That Dances with Wolves. That's dope. It's an introspective book. My favorite book is The Anthropology of a Black Woman by Toni Kincaid from Barr. It's a compilation of short stories, you know what I'm saying? I read a lot of Alice Walker. Terry McMillan is probably my favorite fictional writer. Nikki Giovanni is probably my favorite poet. I read a lot of Maya, but I read more Alice than Maya. I read the contemporaries. I'm not necessarily like the old school, except for Shane. I love Shane, but I'm not necessarily the old school, like, you know, digging in the crates reader. I read all the times.
Would you say you
read a lot of fiction?
You gravitate to writers more like yourself, or writers that are not like you?
Like myself.
Like yourself.
You know what I mean? And it's probably what, you know, what keeps me in what I write about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's funny because I write poetry, but a poet will tell you that, you know, a poet should be reading poetry. You know what I'm saying? And I don't read a lot of poetry, which is bad. You know what I'm saying? Because when you see your stuff on a page, you know, it's way different. But as far as what the words have, you know, behind them and what I mean, you know, I would think that me reading the fiction that I read and that learning how to illustrate, it's still there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm steadily still becoming a poet, still learning to become a poet. You know, being a writer is, you know, not an easier task, but for me it was more natural to be just writing. You know what I'm saying? And then when you really say, okay, I want to write a good poem, I want to write a poem that can get read somewhere, then it becomes something different. So, you know, I'm starting now to read more poetry and pick up, you know, different things. I'm reading this poetry book called Najima right now, and that's dope. You know what I'm saying? So I'm starting to do that now. But
So
what
makes a good poem for you?
A good poem for me is if you can stick to your topic, you know, and not and it doesn't make a bad poem when you do have a million tangents, you know what I'm saying? But for me, a good poem is when you stick to that topic and you make the people feel, you know, everything from the beginning to the rush of the end of it, you know what I'm saying? And it holds them the whole time, you know what I mean? Whether it be 1 minute or 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Or a book. You know what I mean?
You can't put it down.
Trying
you really can't.
Trying to hold the attention is a poem that holds my attention is a good poem to me.
That being said, which poems in particular would you say are those? What are your favorite poems?
My favorite
the ones you find yourself
mine?
coming back to? No, of others.
Nikki Rosa, by Nikki Giovanni. Wouldn't Take Nothing from Our Journey Now by Maya. She's an author. I mean, I read a lot of fictional authors. Terry McMillan, in A Day Late and a Dollar Short, she had this line where she was like, if I had to do it all again, I would give them my last breath too. And she was talking about the mother. She was passing away in the hospital, and that's what she was thinking. Or another line was from Mildred, and she, you know, all her tire went flat in the middle of the snow. Mildred was like, "God, you trying me today," and that always stuck with me. You know what I'm saying? I remember lines. You know what I'm saying?
Do you ever write about any of the events that you read about in a novel?
Yeah. When I read Beloved, I felt compelled to be like, I felt compelled to write about how like young girls have these babies and they don't really know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But they have the whole psyche out to protect and nurture and do all this, you know, become this animal over this child. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I started writing about, you know, quote unquote baby mama issues. You know what I mean? Trying to break through that, the misconceptions of us. You know what I'm saying? That like this young girl is supposed to have understood completely what she was doing and when she had this child and everything that's gonna follow thereafter. And that's bullshit. And then and it's a real and it's a steady everyday judgment, because if the 16-year-old does say I'm gonna go to the dance or I'm gonna go do this or that, that's automatic. She ain't no good mama. And I mean, she's 16 though, you know. So it's that's when I when I read Beloved and read A Day Late and A Dollar Short and started reading those type of heavier novels, moving out of just like romance novels and stuff, trying to read a slice of life book. That's what I realized, was missing from my particular poetry. Was writing about myself for real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's when I stopped writing just all observation and started becoming myself. You know what I mean?
We talked about what you do like in a poem. What do you dislike in a poem? When you hear people go there, you're just like, oh.
Ooh.
Yeah?
I feel like this.
What?
What I dislike in a poem is to be vulgar. You know what I mean? It's a real, it's a very fine line between crass and vulgar, and risk taking and just coming out your mouth the fuck wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the cliche things. If you sound like someone else, it could be from aberration, or it could be because that's the only person you YouTube, and that's fine. But when you have people that are really trying to study this and whatnot, we ran across that person too, and you need to leave that person alone. You know what I'm saying? Because I think about this shit like, I worked on this, or like, whatever, and it's like, if tomorrow somebody just jumped up there and did that, I'm like, because really though, so I don't like that kind of imitation. I like a form of imitation where it's like you could tell a person's writing got sharper. They took the time to learn how to really extend the sentence, or how to get back to the hook, or shit. Rewrite without rambling, which that's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Because my poet brain is like a writer brain a little bit, so I hear that shit, and so it's annoying in my head. Not necessarily listening to you, but in my head, like, that's why I probably, could not catch a line from you, because it wasn't, it was a lot going on. I was trying to catch all the lot, so, you know what I mean? And it's something that I made myself stop doing. So that's how I know it exists. You know what I'm saying? You can't, in my opinion, you can't be so alive. Write a whole nother poem. You know what I mean?
All right. So, which poems of your own don't you like?
Which poems of my own don't I like? I do not.
Because we all have at least one.
I do not like. I don't like a lot of them. I don't like a lot of them. I don't like the ones when I write in some extra, sad way. I don't like those ones because the negativity of it later on when I read it, I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I don't appreciate myself for that later. You know what I'm saying? Or if I write a poem and I take a shot at somebody, I don't appreciate myself for it later. I'm like, oh, that was so, you didn't have to, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we do. Right, I don't. That's the bad thing, because when you have a pen, you do have the power to definitely take your aggression out on things and chop somebody's whole and it's bad, that can be bad, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you have people that like your shit, so then they like the bad all day, and now the bad is all day, and you don't even mean to have it out there no more, but it's going, you know what I'm saying? So I don't like when I do that.
So take us through your process. Do you have any rituals? Do you roll a blunt? Do you draw a bath before you write? Do you type? Do you use pen and paper?
I roll a blunt before I do everything. I roll a blunt before I die. I roll one when I woke up.
That's right, that's right.
I will roll one when I leave here.
There you go.
So it's safe to say you write high. All right.
As a bitch. No, every now and then I do write something at work, so I mean I'm coming down. Not necessarily low. And I definitely lost the high in writing. Stopped, rolled up again. Felt that I could not be high to get to the end of it. Got to the end of it, then smoked. Also, Crown Royal Apple was really good one night, and like a whole like 5-poem rant, and it was. I kept some of those.
Are you more a free writer? Are you more of a free writer than a technical writer?
I'm a free writer all day, and then later on I'll make it.
I've seen some pieces of yours that are informed. So, how much of your work would you say is design versus how much of it is instinctual?
I could get an idea, or I could get a line, and then I'm like musing it, and I can kind of get to the end of it, and just those thoughts. That poem I'll make more technical. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes I write, and I'm venting. I might be just pushing out a feeling, and I'll just keep writing until it just gets to the end of that.
So you just kind of let it naturally just emerge.
Yeah.
So
I play with words a lot, so I can write something, and then that line I could say this now.
when you go back to do editing, how difficult of a process is that for you? Do you find yourself married to lines that you just don't want to get rid of? Perhaps you kind of got to go?
I used to, but then when you let Jeff read something of yours, or like my homeboy Balik read something of yours, you learn that's just get the shit up. You know what I'm saying? They will definitely let you know that you're being cliche now. You're being what you say you don't want to hear, because you're only keeping that because you feel like it's this or that. You know what I'm saying? So I've grown out of that. I can be like, I said that, it was cool, and then chop it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I write something.
How long do you, on average, does it take? I guess let me ask, how long does it take you to write the average stage piece? Because I know short stuff, it just...
I don't know. Sometimes the stage pieces go over some days, just in the respect of, you write it and then you go back and edit and something else goes, on for the stage, you know what I'm saying, for that, the pop line that you have to have for the stage or whatever. So, that could take like 3 or 4 days on that, you know what I mean? If I'm thinking about it wise, I don't really think about that like that. I just write it, and then whenever it's finished, so I don't,
Just raw, just straight out of the pen.
I always just
all
write.
All the best writing comes from that anyway.
Yeah.
I always like to just free write and then go back and chop it up. But I do have that problem. I'm like, but that's really good. It doesn't fit, but it's really good. So I have a notebook I call the orphanage. And I just have all these orphan lines, and sometimes other poems adopt them, and sometimes they just kind of sit there until either they're too old to be adopted or...
The clip, nothing, I don't throw it away. It's just, I make a new poem, you know what I'm saying? And that's sitting right there like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's poems that are in the book that are like, they're in my phone in like 3 or 4 poems, you know what I'm saying? And then they get edited, and one poem might get edited and I only got 1 line out of it. So my found poem, for instance, that I write, You Thought You Knew, that entire poem is probably like 10 or 12 poems. You know what I'm saying? And then like a line here, 3 or 4 there, a couple, like a paragraph there, like I put that poem together on like 10, like, like a good, like definitely like 8 to 10 poems or some shit that was just like all kind of talking about the same things, you know what I'm saying? But not popping by itself, you know what I'm saying? And then it was weird, like a poem was going behind the line and you know, it was just weird how I wrote that, and I just like pulled them all out and pulled all
Like
the
a
lines
Frankenstein
out.
poem.
Yeah. So maybe that's like a poem I did put the hot lines in together. Or something.
You ever start writing a poem and it kind of turn into, you sit down to write one poem, and by the time you're done, it turns into something completely different.
That's all the time.
Yeah.
Real quick, easy
That's
answer.
all the time.
Do you write about people in your life?
Yes.
Do you tell them?
Yes.
We're breezing right through this list. How does your page work differ from your stage work? Do you different? Is there a difference for you?
Yeah. I'm still the poet that's not uberly emotional on stage or can have that big let go. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not that way. You know what I mean? I'm still working on that. So the poems where it is that let go factor, they're the written ones. You know, when I post a status at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's real shit. You know what I mean? Like goings on, or 6 a.m. I just now got another car. I was on the bus for a long time, so I used to be up really early. You know what I'm saying? Like on the bus, so a lot of those poems got written on the bus, like in that light, like in that whole looking at the back of this person, the whole thing. You know what I mean? And that's how I wrote that. You know what I'm saying? And those things, those are really they're personal to me, but I do want people to have them. Whereas the stage poems, you know, they're personal to me too, but then I go, it becomes more of me just liking to spit and liking to pop these lines off.
Do you tailor poems for the stage? Do you specifically write for the stage? So at what point in the process do you work out the delivery? Do you write it first and then figure out how it's going to sound? Or is it during?
I'm one of those people, like how I hear the line, that's what we go with. You know what I'm saying? So like, I write it how I'm going to say it.
So the relationship, how close would you say the relationship between your speaking voice and your stage voice are?
The same.
The same? Your writing voice is really similar to your speaking voice too. Like, I'm familiar with your work. Most of us here are. So as I was reading Cocoa Blues, I could hear you. I know where you stop. I know where you would take a breath. I know where your inflections would be just because I'm so familiar with your performance.
The good thing.
The good thing. So how do you prepare for a stage feature? How do you select your poem?
I go to somebody and I be like, if I do this and that, or what you think about this and that. You know what I mean? That's real shit. I don't really pick it. You know what I'm saying? Because usually I write a lot, so usually something I just wrote is what I'm gonna try to do. And then you say to yourself, you write the one that's hot, but like people here haven't heard it, and then so on and so forth. But I cram. I cram. You can ask people that have been to my house and seen me do that shit. Like I will be like, okay, it is 11 a.m. We ate breakfast. We smoke. Let's go. And I will like run that poem for an hour, 2 hours, and stop. And then I'm still just sitting there, kind of saying it and walking around, and I just get like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a smoke nap. Keep it inside. Keep it inside. Like I meditate on that bitch for that day. For that day, that poem like this. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel that your audience's favorites are different than your favorites? Yeah? You ever get asked to do a poem that you're just not feeling like doing that day? Yes.
Yes.
Are there any styles of writing that you would like to explore that you haven't besides poetry? You say you read fiction. You ever thought about writing fiction?
No, I think I'm getting more to a point where you could do that one. I'm getting more to a point where I find myself ranting on like, social issues and shit. Like, like I'll be chilling, you know what I'm saying, trying not to even bother it, and then somebody will really say something fucking to the left to me, and I'll be like, yo. And And then I have a status that's like a real life dissertation on why that was stupid though. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm starting to get like that. I'm like, I might want to write an article. Like I want to maybe do that. You know what I'm saying? But that's it. I don't want to do the fiction thing or the prosy thing. If I write something and it's not necessarily considered a poem, I'm fine with that.
Well, speaking of other types of media and art, you have an album that you released a couple years ago.
Yeah.
What is that album called?
Inside.
Inside. Tell us about Inside.
Inside is
Dope.
absolutely. Inside, they say it's dope. Like I said, I'm not one of those poets that's like real emotional on stage. So I had this phase where I was doing CD projects because that was kind of my way of going in the studio and saying it and hearing myself and being that little bit of free that I was still really, 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 really nervous to be on stage. You know, so doing my CD projects helped me in that way. And then Inside was kind of when I felt like I had a grasp on things. I had a grasp on poetry. I had a grasp on my flow. Like I knew my voice more, and I wanted to like try to do a project by myself. I was like, I could do it by myself, and that's what that was.
How long did it take you to put that together?
Inside was like 8 months.
Wow.
Like 8 months.
Wow. How was that process different than putting together Cocoa Blues?
Okay. My musical projects are spoken word and hip hop, but it's like when you I keep going back to that because it's just really true. Sometimes when I write those Facebook statuses, I write it right up there, and then I'm like, damn, okay, and then I'll take it and then I put it in a song or make it another, put in another part of a poem or something. So Inside is like poems that I wrote that I was, I love that poem, you know what I'm saying, or that riff and then I made a chorus behind it, or a beat you could just say it on and it was like, it sound dope, and so it's poetry, but I feel like my poetry is different anyway. It's just a poetry CD to me, but it was definitely still to try to gain the hip hop ear and still try to be appealing to poets that knew poetry. You know what I'm saying? It was my attempt to be like, I'm an artist,
And those albums are still available, correct?
Yeah,
Online?
all my albums are on Bandcamp. They're all free. You can get all my albums.
Bandcamp, they're all free.
Yeah.
Everything's free. The book's not free, so.
Practically free.
Yeah, it's definitely practically free. So, how would you say you've grown as an artist between Inside and Cocoa Blues?
When Inside came out, that's when I went on my first trip to New York and did the New York weekend, and then came back and it was like going to open mics all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's when I really started going to open mics like all the time, like maybe 2-3 times a week, and just stop being so scared of the stage and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Was that the trip we met on?
Yeah.
Oh, I met James Bain on that trip too. That was.
So and it just Inside got me on stage. It's got me really spitting my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So by the time we got to Cocoa Blues is like Claire came to my house and I have like a lot of notebooks. And we put all my notebooks on the bed and I handed her my phone and I left the room for a while. You know what I mean? I just left her in there with my notebooks and my phone, and she shifted through like 10+ years.
What was that process like?
Oh, I mean, it was so awesome. Like, because it really is like what I really love to do. Like, I
Must have been like opening a treasure chest.
It was. I'm not quite sure like the real like differentiation between being like identifying as like an editor versus a writer, but there's something about that I really think that I pride myself in, like, if I could, you know, like, if I could say that
Yes,
about
you can
myself,
say that about yourself.
that I really try to pay attention to a writer's, like, an individual's flow and ideas and rhythms and, like, the inner mechanics. Like, every piece and every writer has their own inner logics and their own mechanics, and I really pride myself in being in desiring and loving bringing that out in people and making, you know, not being like I'm fixing it to make it better, but like to really mold it into what it should be according to the writer's.
Were there any specific things you were looking for in the pieces you selected?
No, I mean, it was just the process of, like, after you read so much of, I don't know if I've ever read so much of anybody's stuff besides, like, when I was reading, like, a lot of Bukowski in high school. Like, but I always say I'd rather read me and my friends' work than anybody else's. It's true. No, I mean, it's like once you spend that much time with someone's work, you kind of, like, get the feel for what needs to be pulled out and what can stay. And then you just keep going through the list and keep editing, keep seeing what's weaker. And
what were some of the harder decisions as far as poems that you were like, maybe you fought to either put them in or take them out?
Honestly, like, I know that I had those moments, but it really was kind of seamless. Like, you just do the work, and eventually, like, you know, I was looking at the table of contents, and I was like, dude, I think we have a book.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know?
Because she texted me back.
So why Cocoa Blues? What does that mean exactly?
Chocolate sadness.
You want to expand on that a little bit?
Sweet things get sad, you know what I'm saying? Sweet things get nasty, sweet things get hurt, sweet things get bruised up, you know what I'm saying? And it's not always that, you know, you're so pretty. You know what I mean? Like, did that really happen? Are you making that up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you're too pretty to be having done that, or you've gone through that, or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's definitely a stand up to that type of thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm pretty. Yes, that happened too. Yes, I will whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's very, you know what I'm saying? It's very stand up-ish for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, this might sound like a superficial question, but the cover art is very interesting. So tell us the story behind it.
It actually, like,
we rolled up.
Step one.
I'm from Suffolk. I'm from Suffolk, Virginia, but I go to school in Brooklyn, New York now, and my apartment's up there. And kind of like halfway through the process, Taz came and visited Girl Gang headquarters in Brooklyn. That's our house, and my room. My roommate Ida is this awesome painter, and she lived in the room that I live in, and then she eventually moved to the room that she's in now. But she had painted what you see on the front that's like orange, like the background piece that's like orange, and it goes up to the blue with the pink kind of like things. That was just there. That had just been there for like, you know,
Ever.
2 or 3 years since like before I even lived in the apartment. And then Taz, because one of the major things that we had 1 weekend to like come up with the cover art, and she just looked at it and she was like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, cool. So we took that, and I kind of like, I have a really distinct style when I go and kind of make books. So like there's some like weird overlays of like fabrics and like scans and
It
stuff.
was her skirt. She like put her skirt in a photocopier, and that's the little circly things. That's the little circly thing.
And then a scarf too is the
And a
flower.
scarf
And
is
it's
the
so
flower.
crazy. I had a scarf that the color pattern matched the wall painting perfectly. The like orange and yellow right here. It was just really nice.
Yeah, basically it's spray paint and thrift clothes.
and then my roommate Lindsay Gwim, who designed and typeset the whole book. She's an amazing designer.
Awesome.
She did the like Cocoa Blues like lettering by hand.
Very nice. All right, my birthstone is sapphire.
This
Poem sounds like a really emotional morning shower. Why? No, seriously, you guys will read it. You'll see. Why did you choose to open the book with that particular piece?
Because that's how most of my days do start, though. You know, I don't know about anybody else, but sometimes I do just wake up and I'm laying there, you know what I'm saying, for a long time, and I'm thinking about what I gotta do today, and sometimes it's why I have to do this now today, and I don't want to, and I'm scared about it, but it's going to happen today. And you know, I have like this whole pep talk hype thing with myself, you know what I'm saying, for a minute before I get up and do shit, you know what I'm saying? And so when I write something like that, when I was writing that, it was it's just one of those things, like, okay, like I kind of try to write reminders, like you're doing this today because this, and you're gonna get to this because of that, and it's fine because it's predestined. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Like, I have that kind of mental turn up with myself. So push is hard. It's you know what I mean? Like, from the time you have kids till I drop, boom, we going. You know what I mean? Like, and every day it is I'm going. You know what I'm saying?
And if I could add on to that, like, speaking of like this, you know, we say predestined a lot. Like with this table of contents, the way that the poems appear in the book, it really did just fall together. Like, it was just like we just had a book, and it just was that, and it was just so obvious that everything was to come in that order. So you know, it's like really everything that's in that book is totally meant to be there. There's even one typo, it's not a typo.
Right.
I know what y'all might think, but it's not a typo. Everything in the book is totally 100% meant to be there, and it was obvious. It was just obvious.
In that poem too, you have words that stand alone as lines by themselves, like pop, push, exhale, stop. As a writer, what's the significance of having those particular phrases by themselves?
Because after you read that, this is the point. You know what I mean? This is the point. This is the point. After that, breathe. After that, stop. You know what I mean? After that, push this out. After that, you know what I mean?
All right. You close it with a line that says, I don't want to misquote you. Life won't wait for you to catch up. Your spirit might get there before your body does. Now, besides being absolutely gorgeous, can you tell us more about that idea as a whole?
I seriously believe that you are definitely stronger than you think you are. You know what I'm saying? Almost on every day, really, but definitely the day that you think you aren't. Because if you sit there long enough, you know that you're gonna get up and do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So that willpower, it might get to the finish line before you physically get up and get over there, but it's going over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, always.
All right. Burst. We have a poem in this book called Burst. The reason earlier I asked you if you were ever interested in writing anything outside of poetry is because this particular poem is very much written like a narrative, right? Very interesting, very personal, very, very personal, almost a direct telling of a certain set of events. And it's written more in prose. And for that reason, it stands out in the book. And you went from My Birthstone is Sapphire, which is a short, impactful poem, to this sucker punch to the gut of just emotion. It was just again, you mentioned earlier that it kind of just fell together that way. But that poem in particular, was it difficult to write? Vivid?
first, a year or so after, my children's father got shot in his back, and it exploded in him, and he doesn't have a stomach, you know. He exploded. All his intestines are with clips now. He had a wound back on for 9 months. You know, he's got a partial kidney, partial lung. You know what I mean? You can't tell him he still ain't like baby Future out this bitch, but all of that is going on. And it blew him up. The bullet, whatever big it was, it blew him up. And I saw it. He got shot in front of our house. And then it was during the time where I was living out the project. So when you stay out the park, they don't give a fuck about you. I had changed my locks, and they charged me some $200 fee for changing the locks, you know what I'm saying? And his blood stayed on the sidewalk for 4 or 5 months, you know what I'm saying? No real attempt to clean it up, anything. And what I just say is, because you'll read it, but it's in prose because it's verbatim, you know, just me writing out loud what happened. I wrote what happened. And life is so strange in that you can be sharing someone. You know, you can be sharing someone. You could be not knowing everything that's going on in your world, and then something will make it so that now everything that's going on in your world will become obvious. This is what's happening. Because the things that were in place for you to not find out and to not know are laying up in the hospital for 9 months and can't talk. You see what I'm saying? So now here comes the girlfriends, here comes the kids, here comes, you know, everything that went with that. You know what I'm saying? And he's dying. So you don't, bitch, you know what I mean? He's hooked up to things. He's got JP tubes coming out his sides, a catheter in him. You're looking at a 90-pound person. You cannot scream on a 90-pound person about cheating on you right now. It's not the point. My daughters were 3 and 4, and he had another son. If he dies on my daughters, he dies on that one too. Right now, it's not the point. So it was a lot of, you know what I mean, pain things that I definitely had to be like, you know, it was definitely a lot of pain things that I was holding on to for a long time to just, you know, maintain the family that was going on and everything. And yeah, sanity is it's very hard to watch a person be like that. And just everything that went along with it. So versus verbatim what happened, you know what I'm saying, and how I found out and why I stayed. You know what I'm saying? Because people, you know, it's not for not being around and hearing people go, oh, she's stupid because of you know, I heard it. I know. You know what I'm saying? I know. Shit. What you think I think? You know what I'm saying? But what we doing right now? You know? So that's first.
That's a really heavy piece. Let's. I don't want to cover every poem in the book, obviously, but let's move on to something a little bit lighter. There are 4 women who make a very strong presence in your book, 3 of which are artists. We have Billie Holiday, Nikki Giovanni, and Lauryn Hill. Tell us about these 3 women, what they mean to you, and how they impact your work.
Mama Tony is here. She always, like, every time I was getting on stage, she would say, you know, the Billie Holiday is 757, da 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 da, and I'd be like, oh, that's a dope thing to say. You know what I'm saying? And then it and that's, you know, that's where things become predestined. And then I read about her, and I was like, yeah, I see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm that. I Saz is that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you internalize it and you make it be a positive. It's not to be like she's the woe is me. It's more like, you know, I'm gonna speak the woes. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that is, really. Nikki is just a fave. she's just bad. You know what I mean? She's bad. Nikki is bad. She's bad with the pen. She's bad on stage. Her political arguments, her social arguments, she's funny. You know what I'm saying? She's just outright, and I aspire to that 24/7. You know what I'm saying? And then Lauren is bae. You know, Lauren is like when I first started writing some little poems and first started saying some little rhymes, it's because, you know, somebody was saying them now, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like, you know, I definitely listened to my law, you know what I mean, and MC Light and Moni, but nobody said that shit like Lauren, like nobody just said that shit. Nobody said I love you like that. Nobody said I hate you like that. Nobody said like, you know what I'm saying? Everything is everything like that. Like she just
Lauren.
Yeah.
So I said there were 4 women that are present very much in your book. The first is your mother. You dedicate Cocoa Blues to her. The first time you mention her is in Dating in My 30s. And then you have the dedication piece, Clean Angel. Tell us about your mom and her impact on your life.
My mom is very dope. She is where I get all the writing things from. My mom is a writer, but we were different. Like I write. My mom used to say I didn't do anything but read Sister Girl books, and she said you just read the Sister Girl books, and you know and I was so, you know, Black Power, Carl Kanai, I got you because you know like she just was sick of me like at all times, but she wrote conspiracy theory stuff and sci-fi, and you know that was my mother. You know, I have not maybe been the biggest Star Wars fan, but I know every episode of Star Trek, Next Generation, period, point blank. Like all the Babylon 5, all the Dunes, the Hobbits, Lord of the Rings, like set it off. Harry Potter, The Matrix, like was the shit to her. You know what I'm saying? Mel Gibson, anything, like let's go, like so that was her, and then she had me, and it was just like Tassia, you know. There's I know, but I'm saying Terry McMillan is like that. Like so we fussed, but she was the writer, and she had so many books in our house at all times. You know what I'm saying? So I would just randomly pick stuff and read it, and you know what I mean. I get all of that wanting to do that from her. You know what I mean?
What do you think would be her favorite piece of yours? I've got my own answer to that question.
Diane might like her. Diane would like Lauren because she, you know what I mean. She's victim to my teenage years. You know what I'm saying? I bang everything, so she would like Lauren. I think she would like I write. You know what I mean? I think it's weird. My mom never really saw too much of my poetry, so I think she would just be impressed that I was writing, you know, and trying to write. You know what I'm saying?
Claire, what was your answer to that question?
I was gonna say love poem to myself.
Me too.
But I want to. I don't know. I want to. There's something. She does see your work, and she's in it.
Yeah.
That's all.
I tried. She's in it.
All around it. All around it. Like looking behind my shoulder. Like for real.
I write my angel things. We write our angel things.
Gargoyle gang.
So Cocoa Blues explores. You guys are cute. Cocoa Blues explores a lot of different topics. A few of the poems that stand out are, one of them is hair. It's very unique from some of the rest of the body of the book. Tell us about that.
I wrote the poem Hair because, okay, going back to one of the earlier questions I got asked, what do you hate hearing about in poetry? I don't do the cliche thing. So you get to knowledge yourself. You know, you want to be conscious righteous now. And the first thing that you have to do to be conscious righteous is write a poem about your afro. You have, you know what I'm saying? You have to then at the very same time, damn weave, because that is just unrighteous as hell. You have to, you know, all this shit. And so, and I know righteous thoughts, and we gonna talk about it, girl, stop. So, she didn't do that with her weave on, you know what I mean? But from me, and I'm so serious, so from me, like an observation, you know what I'm saying, noticing that would be the first thing that you would use as your knowledge of self. Like the first thing that you gained in knowledge of self was that, you know, more power to you. But sometimes it don't go that way, and somebody's first knowledge of self thing might be like to stop being manipulative. They just might say that, like, I'm gonna, you know, I could get this, but I'm not even gonna do it today. And that was what they chose to do and work on, not like their hair, and you know, and it's not to say or taking away anything from that. All those things come into play as it progresses and goes on. But to me, some of those poems were dissing a person's level of consciousness, like saying that I could not be this way because I wore weave today, you know what I'm saying, or I could not be thinking this thing, or I don't carry it in this respect. Bullshit, you know what I'm saying, all the way across the board. Then I just think of, you know, I don't necessarily consider my feminist, but in a feminist, a very big feminist issue is that the black woman is like the strongest thing ever walking around. You know, a lot of people are wearing weave because all their fucking hair fell out. You know what I'm saying? Or they have alopecia, or, you know, they have cancer, or, you know what I mean, diabetes and got to them so bad they're stressing and it's falling out. Their kids are so bad they're stressing and it's falling out. Somebody done killed their kid and they're stressing and it's falling out. You know what I'm saying? This is not no just, I got a song. I've seen legitly, you see older women coming in there. She done been traveling up the road to see her son in penitentiary for the last 40 years. This 60, 70-year-old woman drives more miles in a week than most of y'all ever would be thinking about to go see one of her children. You see what I'm saying? Her motherfucking hair fell out. And that's not to say that she's not conscious. It's not to say that she's not righteous. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not feeling it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of young girls now that have sickle cell. You know, they have cancer. They have HIV. They, you know what I mean? And their fucking hair is falling out. And that's why they have a wig. With your ignorant, not conscious ass. And it bothers me. You know what I'm saying? And I wrote the poem because of that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Chill out. Right. It's so bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Consciousness is not what you are wearing. You know what I'm saying? It's not if you know Bob Marley's catalog. It's not if you can recite all the principles of Matt. It's not all this really cliche bullshit that people act like is the hub of becoming that type of person. You see what I'm saying? And as you shed layers, you'll move away from certain things. You'll say, yo, I don't want to do this no more like that, da da da. You'll accept your growth and you'll carry on. You'll move on. That's fine. I did it. I'm done. If you can't accept yourself like that, I can't even rock with you no way. So who gives a shit about your fro? You see what I'm saying? You don't want to admit to the time that you was playing beer pong with your ass out. You don't want to say it. Why I say it? That's some bullshit. You know what I mean? So I wrote that poem to definitely stand up for people that have gone through that, are going through that, know what that means, have experienced it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's to really. You know what I'm saying? I hope that there are people that, you know, when they're at home, when you're at home at 3 o'clock in the morning being honest with yourself and you read that shit, you know what I'm saying, you knew that was for you and you're, you know what I mean?
That's an important piece.
Please just know that I wrote that for you to be okay with yourself on that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's for real. You know what I mean?
So, what do you think is the biggest lesson you took away from this process of putting together your first book?
To start seeing my work in a order, like to start seeing it like a body of work now. You know what I'm saying? Because now I can say I can write a love poetry book where I can write just a this or that. You know, because I write so much of everything. So to see the process of it going down into these subjects, I was like, you know what I mean? I get that. You know what I'm saying?
So what's next?
I don't know. I do a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I definitely want to write another book. I definitely, you know, I'm trying to get better as a stage poet. I definitely want to, you know what I'm saying, work my way up to slamming. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's about being a better writer constantly. You know what I'm saying? And then becoming a poet too. Like I want to be both. You know what I'm saying? I want to be called both. And then, you know, like the Dear Broken Woman project with the video projects and everything, bringing the poetry to life, you know what I'm saying? The Dear Broken Woman project was like, it was a poem that I wrote, like one of those sad poems that I wrote, and it touched people and it got affecting, and then they wrote on to it, you know what I'm saying? And we made a video series out of it, and it's dope, and you should watch it. But, you know, just to always be doing that, be having some kind of life with the poetry at all times, you know what I mean?
Nice. So we're going to close with these 10 questions. These 10 questions were originally written by Bernard Pivot. He had a show in France called Bouillon de Culture, which loosely translates to culture soup. They're more recognized as being the 10 questions that James Lipton asks at the end of every episode of Inside the Actors Studio. And I found it only appropriate that we do that here tonight. So, what is your favorite word?
I probably should have got it for you first. Gorgeous.
What is your least favorite?
Gorgeous.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
At the same time?
No.
Something that is just like overwhelming me. That feeling of being overwhelmed.
What turns you off?
Stupid ass person.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fucking fuck.
What sound or noise do you love? What sound or noise do you hate?
The baby's crying.
Oh, I hate that. What profession other than your own would you like to try?
I want to be a writer.
What do you not like to do?
Work at the hospital. I can't take that in like that.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you if you arrive at the pearly gates?
Made it, Slim.
Now,
I just want to see the front.
we unfortunately are not going to have too much time for the audience Q&A because I want to leave some time for Taz to just do what Taz does. So please, without further ado, let's make some noise for Taz Weysweete.
So crazy right now. Can't just stand there and wait. I gotta do something. Dive deep inside their souls and move something I thought I had, I say. But these poems keep running relays. I need to cross countries. I need to move boulders off from shoulders and bruise something, prove something, fear nothing. I'm not scared. just never been here before. Staring out at an audience like ocean while my feet stay planted to the floor like a shore, like I'm in a marriage with these poems and the stage is my paramour, my share of Rhea Moore. I wonder if Stevie was more afraid to see or bored, like I wonder if they listen or hear, cause this here's my life, ain't no need to perform, but love poem for myself.
Both hands,
Yes.
This is a poem for the 420 Pulitzer Prize winner, the Vamp Camp poet. Designing draft on stress and wishes. You war within the demons and last goodbyes. Holding true to the belief that one day you will revolve around the sun the way the earth was meant to. You snap like you've been. She who speaks MC, you weeping willow of a woman. You make people smile. Echo laughter and hollow wounds. You begin again. Take everything and nothing to heart. You. My favorite kind of hipster, you. That 80s baby with that trapped in the 90s swag. Thrift store tees and designer bags. The epitome of cool. Naturalista, still a diva. You. That duffel bag lady who missed her bus because you had too much stuff, then smiled when you thought about how if you miss one, next 15 one's coming. You. Miss New York. You. Miss New York. The Mason-Dixon never opens his Venus flytrap of a mouth. The bitch let Virginia eat you alive. But this isn't a poem for the places you have been or the places that you will never get back to. This is a poem for the tattoos etched in your skin and the stories that they tell. For the whirlwind on your neck and TMP. For the praying hands that clasp a rosary. For Diane DeLise. For the angel wings between your shoulder blades and the dream catcher on your spine that reminds you that anything can happen when your head is bent. This is not a poem for the boys who never asked what those stories meant. Fuck the boys who have seen your stories so you can fuck the men who will read your fine print. Ow. This is for you. Let it give you some peace of mind, comfort you, like crying quiet tears in the back of a crowded room while listening to poetry and thinking about the last man that you made love to. He did not break you. This is for your hands. For the henna markings of blue-collar scars, for the length of your fingers and the shortness of your nails and the ash and dirt embedded beneath them, for the knuckles you pop constantly, from the protruding veins from years of working and writing. This poem is not for the broken heart or the worn spirit. This is a poem of acceptance. This is a poem for the mole on your butt and the time. Your 3-month-old daughter pulled down so hard on your earring that now you could wear gauges. This is for that. My earring is broke. This is for that. For how fly you is. Rocking old bangles and Timbs. For the fact that you can rock a stage, a bus stop, and your kid's school play with the same demeanor. This is your poem. True friend poem. Do anything for your homie that looks like he needs a hug poem. This is your love poem. For the lack of tact and no regrets. For the spirit that wills the soul to move something. For the days when being held is as foreign as forever and always, and no one has told you in years that they can help you, that you have potential for you, boo. Standing on the clip of supposition and now, blaring white screen held in the palm of your hand, laughter echoing from a womb, barren but alive, barren but alive, barren but alive.
Come on.
For you, 420 scribe, demon fight and tackler sweetheart, you, the second coming of Wonder Woman, something dope, like when Nikki Giovanni wrote, and they will never understand that all the while I was actually quite happy.
Yeah.
I really want to read just this poem out the book because anything else that I do to me right now, it wouldn't be right without me saying this thing out this book. And I appreciate y'all, man. This shit,
we appreciate you.
It's wild right now. It said, you think you thought you knew, you stop, you know. You thought to think, you stop, you think you knew, or so you thought. What returns to earth must once again bloom. That's what I've been taught. It will. A life avenged by red and silver roses, while vengeance is swallowed whole by birth. The gift of creation presents revolution. Science meets God. This will all get logical again. He can rest in peace, although a piece of me fails to believe he ever will. A revolution conceived every day, but he will, we will one day. I think you thought that we knew. that he was your homeboy, your cousin, your classmate, your brother, your favorite student, your teammate, your lover, your nephew, but he is her son, and his name is Mike. Last time it was Kendrick, after that Trayvon and Jordan, before them it was Eric. Hoodies up became the proclamation. Now our bitter faces are waging war on Black Fridays. We martyrs of melancholy melees and marches. Whispered to my partner through the darkness, baby, there is a war outside. 2014 feels like the 60s. It seems as if the bloodsuckers never suffer and the mothers are left to endure. Burning souls, aching calves, broken hearts, found memories. This black girl lost stands tall, holds her son on her hip while her two daughters slide their tiny fingers into her belt loops, never breaking her stride. The babies bounce off her backside, casting a maternal shadow, a pale horse colored in black indigo. And no, she can't say she graduated any college. She left the institution but still pursues the knowledge. Whispers to her partner through the darkness, baby, there is a war outside. And when he's tried vibes through her lips, she gives her Nelson a kid spits. I gave you loyalty. 26 years I lie flat on my back, stared up at a ceiling and never once asked God why. Silent shots, sweep Soweto, Savannahs, scattered the shepherds, jar bombs, jar moms in Johannesburg, and they run with their children in their arms. They kiss, she spits. Police pursue from Pocosin to Portsmouth will tase, spray, and beat you in the face from patrol to IA. Men are running with the faces of their children on their arms. Peace is not residing in this field, in these streets, baby. There is a war outside, but they keep fighting. We keep fighting. You taught us that. Or has jail made you forget that you are a king, even if a cell becomes your throne? I think she thought. We know the energy is sucked up in a vacuum of cubicles, warehouses, kitchens, angry bedrooms, nuke dinners, reposted, stolen, and played out like blurred lines, while the inner city remains blue, romance in Marvin's room, casually adjusting mocking bird's eye view reflection of disturbia through the cornea, live at 6. All three of my eyes blink. You think they think, said the shotgun to the head, the wine bottle by the bed, screaming Mother Nature is a whore, and I understand that God will never get the respect she deserves. Like at first glance, aren't I just another baby mama from the hood? I thought. Insignificant is the science that doesn't teach faith. I mean, why wonder when you don't believe? Motherfucker, I know what different environments produce. The blacker the flow, the slacker my noose. It's the hip-hop in my heart, the forgiveness on my tongue, the sincerity when I speak, the way I put on. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Never judge strength by its measure. The slightest things carry the most weight. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. Said a Mexican proverb that I read on a meme. Save it like a steak dinner, digest it, lick my fingers, and whisper to my partner through the darkness. The revolution will come from the gut. You better know
believe it!
I'm just gonna do this last one for Lauren. For Lauren is probably like the poem that really started me out writing in this way now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of her. So if you heard it before, I'm sorry. If you never heard it before, here it goes. I started with this though. This life thing ain't never claimed to be easy. These chicks is fried, no wonder be acting greasy. I keep trying cause I know my kiddies need me. Survival of the fittest, baby, nothing is beneath me. Beseech me, throw salt down, they proclaim that they can see me. Wait till you see pain. When my God speaks, the lamb and me will say, if I could rewind time, I set back to the day. Don't follow me, follow him. I see these ghosts follow me, lower my brim. It ain't no doubt in me. See, I exist, but I really only lived in the belly of his kiss. I'ma be more than this figure. Mark my words, I'm smoking on a wise man's gift, spark up my herb. It ain't even a price tag on what I deserve to get to bliss. I'll bury my knees in the dirt. My word. Said Lauryn Hill, where are you, darling? Cause I'm hardly evolving without you. Who knew that your buffalo soldier, dreadlock, rasta, star would betray you? Play you as concubine when he escorted you into royalty. You bore his legacy, a Marley queen, the same loyalty you showed the camp before it turned into a carnival. You went refugee. You were trampled on, but you stammered on, so badgered on. No longer miseducated, more like cataplexy. Your reality is sedated and coked up. Yeah, this is the real thing, so you numbed up. You stay fucked up, no true religion now. But you like Zuleika now. High and pretty in makeup, wow. And I heard them say it was the dick that made you trip, but I know it was those straight hits of dreams come true, those back shots are part of riches before the schemes beyond the ghettos of New Jeru, cause flipping on those dirty mattresses never suited you. Simply put, it's not what superheroes do. You are our storm, you are our Wonder Woman. My eyes haven't left the sky. Lauryn Hill, where are you, darling? It's not the same without you. I thought you had factored in the X's and found Zion. Now you crying over Curtis Mayfield tracks and smoking up your baby daddy's stash. Two dope mans, you stay blunted on reality, no jiving. I know the lines must lead straight to your veins. I remember you spat more powerful than two Cleopatras. Never could have imagined there'd be two Mark Anthonys. The same tragedy that brought down Egypt and Rome, ravaged through your mind, soul, and home. America called the feds and you became the casualty. The war on Lauryn Hill and saddens me, cause caged birds with clipped wings don't sing. I turn my lights down low and open the window curtains. I'm certain that the crickets in the moon remember you. I have never forgotten the black Janis Joplin. I have studied your lyrics like doctrines. Every style you rocked, I jocked it. If they gave me a multiple choice test of the best female MC to date and you won't on it, I write you in as an option. Stop it, baby girl. In retrospect, I never dreamed you leave in summer. Honestly, I didn't think you'd leave at all. But they sucked you dry of your sweetest things and you dropped yourself in the mysteries of your own inequities and it all fell down. Somehow you lost one, but you still have me. Come back, please, because I know it's more of a misdirection and a miseducation. We all know through you what the end of a high means and what it fiends for, like, why didn't you stay? Thank you.